let's talk about the Kentucky Derby, the big race.
So yeah, the big race, 20 horse field that has been changing the whole time. And you know what? Trying to predict the Grade 1 Kentucky Derby is definitely probably one of the fun things to do, but also incredibly challenging. I ended up trying to, I'm using Essential Quality because I do think he has the best chance of winning this race from all the horses in there, because like I was saying about some of the Kentucky Oaks fillies, this is a horse that is a finished article and can go to the front, can go to the back, whatever pace setup there is, make a move and finish very strongly, and has showed a lot of heart as a racehorse throughout. But I don't like taking short value in a deep 20 horse field in the Kentucky Derby. This is the opportunity to try and go with a couple more long shots. So I am going to try and beat him with the number 9 Hot Rod Charlie, 8-1 currently on the board. Doug O'Neill, perhaps not, not the, I wouldn't say this is like the wise guy horse or anything, but I like him. I like him. If I look back at that Louisiana Derby, he used a bit of speed to try and go to the front. That's what you need in here. He doesn't need the lead. He can very well stalk. Of course, Doug O'Neill has already won the Kentucky Derby twice, but I'll have another Nyquist, so a trainer that is very capable of getting a horse home. That speed figure came back very sharp, 99 Beyer, one of the highest in the field, bar Rock Your World, who is the only one with a triple-digit Beyer figure in here. So to me, there's a lot to like here. Flavien Prat on board. Yeah, I'm gonna try and beat him because 8-1 I think is terrific value to take. But I do use Essential Quality in second. As I mentioned, wonderful, impeccably bred Godolphin runner is the finished article. He's shown us what he's capable of. He's been headed, he's come back. That Bluegrass race, he really had to work for it. Highly motivated, gave him quite the run for his money there late. So I love Essential Quality. I'd be over the moon if they win. Just don't love the value. He's going to be favored. He's not going to be heavy favorite, because I feel like this year is a bit more of a widespread group. I think you can make a case for a few horses in here, and I think you should. If a year comes up like this with a horse that is going to be a mild favorite, but he's not a monster. He's not unbeatable. So you're not coming in here with a heavyweight horse with multiple triple-digit speeds. But Essential Quality is clearly the value to take. He's still unbeaten, but he's come very close. Like, he's been very close to being beaten
in the last one.
In his last race it was very, very tight. Now highly motivated did end up tiring a little bit, but I love the grit he showed. Perhaps just some of his speed figures, like I said, if you look at Beyer pars for this race, you're looking at triple digit figures. He's never ran that. So there's just a few things that you can say to maybe sway your opinion towards a longer priced horse, which is how I ended up on Hot Rod Charlie. But yeah, if you want to talk about the horse with the superior speed figures, is of course Rock Your World. John Sadler trains, Joel Rosario is going to take the ride. This horse, we don't know that much about him. Basically, John Sadler kept him away from our attention for the majority of his short-lived 3-start career before pulling him out in the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. And he just went straight to the front and said, goodbye. So clearly, superior speed figure is projected to be one of the pacemakers in here based on US Time Firm early pace figures. Has done, looks incredibly talented, but also question marks. He hasn't been, in that race on the dirt, he hasn't been headed, he hasn't been pressured. He was allowed to just roll along and absolutely tank away. Well, in an elite 20 horse field, there's bound to be someone that's going to pressure him. It's hard to say that Rock Your World's going to get that ideal setup, but I want to use him because it seems like on sheer talent, you don't want to move away from him. This horse is very unexposed when it comes to his dirt efforts, and what we've seen is good enough to win this race on speed figures. And the way he runs, like I said, I like a speed horse to stay out of trouble when it comes to the Kentucky Derby. So you want to have him in there. Now for my fourth pick, I was really on the fence because I was looking at Known Agenda, loved what he did in the Florida Derby. But he's drawn on the rail. We know that's not the ideal position to be in. He is not an out-and-out speed horse, so he's most likely going to have a wall of horses in front of him. So might now just win because, of course, Top Pletcher is phenomenal. And Irad Ortiz is, really, really game to go and get a Kentucky Derby win. I ended up using Mandaloon, the number 7, another Blackhawks runner, forgiving him for his Louisiana Derby where he flopped. And there was no excuse. They didn't know what happened. But he was so good in the Grade 2 Risen Star. Like, this was a horse that if he hadn't flopped in that last race, probably would have been either close to favoritism or very short price. Now 15-1. If he bounced back to an effort like the Risen Star or does anything better, I think at a price he's valued because he's 15-1. He's drawn in the middle of the field. So yeah, that's it for my Kentucky Derby selections, and fingers crossed here. What are your thoughts, Carlos? Like, what are you looking at? Who do you like in the Kentucky Derby?
In the Kentucky Derby, as you mentioned, this is a very, very equally talented field. And I'm amazed that so much people have mentioned the same thing. There is in this field, there's not Justify, an American Pharaoh. That horse that that it cannot be beat. So I definitely like Essential Quality. He's part of my combination. Medina Spirit. I think Buffer have the touch to make things happen. And at the beginning of the year, he was the one with 4 horses getting ready for the Kentucky Derby. Now he has just one, and he don't even have one for the Kentucky Oaks. So basically, you're saying that the most talented trainer in terms of winning the Kentucky Derby, he has a solid focus on just one horse with John Velasquez, who was these 2 actually won last year. I don't know.
No, I think you're right. Bob Baffert has won it 6 times. As I do, we've tied for the record of most wins in the Kentucky Derby. Are we all just completely overlooking him because Medina Spirit was so well beaten by Rock Your World in the Santa Anita Derby? Perhaps. I mean, he was beaten by 4 1/4 lengths, but you're right. We're banking on Baffert to get this horse to peak and to be perfect on the day of the Kentucky Derby, because that's key, isn't it? As a trainer, you want to keep building this horse up until that peak performance on the one day that it matters. And if anyone knows how to do that, it would be Bob Baffert.
And John Velasquez.
Absolutely. I'm not discounting the fact that you have one of the most talented senior riders in the United States on board. So
that is correct. The other one that I like, obviously, Rock Your World. He's gold talent, but it's just growing. So you don't know how much he's actually going to be able to succeed in his career. This is going to be the test of the champions for him. He's just either finish last or he's going to be in the top 4. Yeah, because it is tough. And there's also, obviously, and we cannot avoid this, there's the change of jockeys that everybody's talking about. Like, okay, yeah, Joel was going to ride concert tour for Bob Buffer. Bob Buffer decided to bypass the Derby. Then he already gave up Hot Rod Charlie. So suddenly he's in Rock Your World. Joel Rosario is one of the hardest jockeys right now. I'm a big fan of him. But obviously there's going to be some tension there about what is going to happen with Rock Your World. And you need to prove that we made the right move, picking you to be the rider in this test of the champions. So
it's it's hard with jockey engagements. We read into it, but sometimes we don't know all the contributing factors. So that's why I'm always a little hesitant to read into it too much when I don't know what was discussed behind closed doors, what kind of engagement or agreements were made prior, and how that might have shifted with horses being redirected towards the Preakness. So I'm a little bit hesitant with those, but I do understand where you're coming from.
How is everything setting up and towards the Preakness? We are just weeks away.
I know, we are. It's starting to set up. Actually, let me pull up, because I do have a little list of horses that are supposed to go to the Preakness. Franz Godina, one of the Japanese horses. I remember you would have seen him in the UAE Guineas in Dubai, where perhaps I think he finished like mid-pack there. Wasn't as strong as we hoped he would be. Was kind of the Wiseman's horse
Hmm.
of the
Yes.
track. Was looking beautifully. Had a setback, hence couldn't go to Saudi for the 3-year-old Derby up there. Then rerouted. Now it's going to go here to the Prince, so that's exciting. Ron Bauer, Crowded Trade, and indeed Concert Tour are some that have been confirmed already. Of course, the list is going to take shape after the first Saturday in May
Of
much more. But
course.
yes, we're gearing up to, once again, a big event. We're going to have fans in attendance. I do believe we have about 10,000 fans that are allowed to be present for the big day, which is wonderful. Not the 100,000 that we'd normally get, but still so happy to just have a fan base there, get that excitement going. And nope, Pimlico is looking wonderful. We're here earlier than usual, 2 weeks earlier started the Preakness meet because of the aforementioned track renovations that are being done at Laurel Park. But yeah, it's nice to be back there. It's a beautiful historic track, lots of atmosphere, really top quality racing that we saw last Saturday, 6 stakes races, lots of photo finishes. We actually had a bit of an interesting Tessio stakes where we had the reds being
Oh
moved
yeah.
up due to the DQ there. So yeah, that was that was an interesting one. I don't know if you watched it or what did you make of that, but it was yeah, we definitely had a lot of things going on that day.
Yes. Let's put it that way. Like, yeah, it was a very interesting outcome of the race.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, Hugh McMahon's horse basically moved the Reds all the way out into the center of the track. I think he moved him over at least six paths. It
Hmm.
was something like that. So,
Hmm.
after long deliberation, because of course the Tessio is a key prep for the Preakness, a key
Correct.
winning your in race. So it was highly important that they were confident of their outcome there. So that was, it was a shame for Hugh McMahon and the owner, because she's apparently he told me this afterwards, a very old lady. Accelerator is the horse. She wanted a stakes horse, and this was second off the claim for Hugh McMahon, and she would have had a
Wow.
stakes horse because he crossed the wire first. Beautiful looking colt. Actually ended up running in the private terms where he ran third, apparently without shoes. Hugh McMahon told me afterwards, because he had pulled the shoe, had a shoe repair beforehand, and he ended up pulling them off, or pulling one off, or two off. I think he said two, that in the end he didn't run with shoes on before the gate,
Wow.
and they just ran. So clearly a very talented individual that we'll see lots more of. But of course,
Hmm.
DQ like that, it's quite something, especially when it comes to these prep races for the Preakness, being able to, win in your in race. So I hope we'll see the Reds back in the Preakness. John Kimmel trained Victor Carrasco Road, but I haven't heard anything just yet on what the case will be there. But it was still, it was such a great weekend of racing.